right, everybody, welcome to another episode of What's What BR. Today we have a special guest with us. We have Cheri Johnson. How are you?
Good, Brandon. How are you?
I'm doing all right. So, tried to keep up here. You, for everybody who does not know, are the chief nursing officer over at Women's Hospital. I
That's
know
correct. Yes, I have the honor of doing that, serving in that role.
that is got to be that's got to be a little challenging. I would think. That's especially nowadays, right?
Yeah, yeah. Anything in healthcare is challenging on a good day, but lately, definitely.
Yeah, I can imagine. So, how long have you been doing that over there?
So I've been chief nursing officer for nearly 2 years. Previously to that, I was the vice president over perinatal services here at Woman's, and I've been
Okay.
working for Woman's since 2006.
Wow, 2006.
Yeah.
That's where all my kids have come from. That's where we pick them up at, as we say. I've done a number of rounds over there. So Tim, what is? We were talking before. In full disclosure, I wrote it down because I couldn't get it all out. You've been selected to serve on the council here, which is the Maternal Child Health Council for American Hospital Association. Is that Did I
That's
get that one right?
You got that one right. Yeah. Yeah, it's quite an honor to be selected to serve on that council. It's something where we inform policy making for the American Hospital Association. So our responsibilities is to make sure that we're communicating issues to the policymakers who can do something about some of the issues that we have. And then conversely, thing that the policymakers are writing about or wanting to change, they will send that to us, and then we can vet that with our peers, with our own organizations or systems, and provide feedback to make that policy a little bit better. Some of our other things we might need to do is if there's any issues, we might want to bring that up to policymakers and or issues with a particular policy, so we can make some revisions or changes with that. So
That's got to be kind of a big deal. Obviously, there's probably not that many people, right? They can't have a representative from every hospital, right?
that's
So
right.
it's
That's
kind
right.
of a big deal because I can
The
imagine
smaller council. Yeah. Yeah.
it. You've got, you know, staff in the hospital that are it's like, who's coming up with this? Why are we doing, this way? And so now it's like we have a seat at the table locally,
Yeah.
to express kind of what we're dealing with and how that works. So that's, it's good. Finally.
Yeah, I was really excited and looking at the members. It's great to have someone from the Deep South, Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, the panhandle of Florida. There aren't any representatives from that area. So I have you know, a, a unique opportunity to bring forth some of the challenges that we specifically have in the South. Healthcare is certainly a whole lot different than New York compared to the South or Oregon compared to the South. So I'm really excited to be able to be representative of this region to the council. I think it's
How do
important.
how do they find, to kind of force your hand to make you talk about yourself? How do they find you? How do they select people, here?
Well, I think that I network with a number of colleagues across the nation. We are the 17th largest delivery facility in the nation. So some of our bigger delivery facilities, we network together pretty frequently. And my name was brought into the fold just because they're looking for a geographic kind of representation on the council. That way we can make some really good decisions and inform those policymakers really, really well. So my name popped up by someone out of Providence, Oregon. So uniquely, and it's just someone that I network probably about a monthly basis. So that's how my name got brought into a nomination committee and they vet it. They make sure I have the credentials and the knowledge to really support the work that goes on in the council. And then it goes through an election process or a nominating process.
That's a big deal. That's a lot more than just firing off an email saying, "Hey, can you jump on a call with us next week?" So, it's a big honor, it sounds like. Congratulations.
Yeah. I'm pretty excited. I'm more excited just because we need that representation. This region needs that representation at the table. We have unique differences, and those need to be represented.
Absolutely. No, that's, so tell me, what is that? Is that a regular, like a monthly type meeting? Is it, it's not cool to get in person anymore.
Yeah. So we will meet by Zoom. Normally, they do quarterly meetings face to face. We will meet by Zoom, but there's also work that occurs in between the meetings. There may be some policy that's being written, legislation, that type of thing that they might want our feedback on. So emails will go out, and of course we'll vet that, give some of our opinion related to that, and then send that back through to the policymakers. But we do, from what I understand, my first meeting is in February this month. So from what I understand, there's some in-between work that occurs because it never can be just scheduled at a quarterly meeting. And some of it is pretty timely as they start to write legislation.
That's changing lives.
I hope so. That's the goal.
Right.
Getting better.
Well, tell me, what we jump out of that, for a second. I'm sure we'll work our way back into it. But from a chief nursing officer, at which I didn't know, you just casually said it's 17th largest, birthing facility.
Yeah.
That's kind of a big deal. And I would think, forget everything, normally that's going on right now, which I guess is the new normal. But in a normal, chief nursing officer role, what's that day to day like? Is that, showing up with a whole great set of plans, and as soon as you walk in the door, it just blows up and you got to put it together?
Well, it is a lot of reprioritizing my day. So I agree with that. We have Women's Hospital employs about 900 exceptional nurses, and I have been chosen to be their leader. And so I help organize things throughout the hospital to support the nurses in their practice, to support quality patient care, to help support our physician partners in what they do every day, and making sure that we have the tools, equipment, things that we need to be able to deliver really exceptional patient care. And I also have the responsibility to make sure our patients are felt safe in our organization and well cared for. So their patient experience is important to me specifically, but to all of nursing.
Sounds like a little bit of everything in there, like a little bit of therapist, a little bit of, advisor, a little bit of coaching, a little bit of everything.
Coaching, mentoring, budgeting. I can't spend more money than what we take in, certainly, and prioritizing what we need in terms of financial, prioritizing projects, those types of things.
So you've got 900 men and women working in one, facility.
Yeah, just shy of 900, just shy, but yeah, close to 900.
But you got to boil all that in and take everybody's, we need, more paper towels, we need, more of this, we need, all of that, and then figure out how to make that work on a regular basis, right? Like,
yeah.
And I would assume, I always believe, leaders affect the culture, right? So you've got to, it's how that culture, from the top down gets dispersed, and finding those that don't fit, and they've got to work their way, out of the system and make room for the ones that do. That's a lot to carry. It's a big load, along with National Child Health Council for American Hospital Association. I keep reading it over here. little bit of amazing feats here we've got, going on.
Well, I have a lot of people that help support the work. I've got an amazing nursing leadership team that helps me with this work too. So I don't certainly do any of this alone. So
It's so tell me, speaking of working on different things, you guys have been, Women's has been kind of the forefront, from what I've read, and we kind of looked at some things on improving, maternal and infant health. What's going on there?
well, lots of things. We do, we represent nearly 13% of the state's births. So when we make a change at Women's Hospital, it significantly impacts our state. And quite frankly, the state looks to us to be able to lead initiatives and projects. So some of the things that we work on and have continued to work on is reduction in preterm birth. What that looks like. We have looked at our own data and looked at some of the drivers that we can control, some drivers you can't control, related to preterm birth, and initiated different methods to hopefully reduce preterm birth, like cervical length screening. So that's how short or how long your cervix is at a certain time in your pregnancy. Screening for tobacco, alcohol, drugs, depression, things like that, to help us identify issues that kind of lead toward preterm birth. Some other things that we're looking at is reducing hemorrhage and hypertension effects on women. That's really, really important to us. Actively managing hypertension, actively managing postpartum hemorrhage. Although it doesn't happen often, it can be very dangerous to mom and sometimes baby if baby hasn't been delivered. So we really want to work on that. We also work on our breastfeeding rate. It's great to have those babies get a great healthy start. And then we always work on infant mortality. That's something that Women's has always been a partner with, worked with the state in terms of our fetal infant mortality review committees, those types of things, to implement processes in place that hopefully reduce infant mortality. We also do a lot with breast cancer screening, GYN oncology screening. Those things are also important. And then, just reducing some of those disparities with some of those really bad outcomes in terms of hemorrhage or cancer, those types of things, hypertension, infant mortality. So really taking a look at that and implementing initiatives to help reduce some of those disparities.
And I guess that would tie also back to kind of what you're doing on the council. Some of the work that you're doing internally can bring to the council and be able to say, these are things that we're doing, these are things that are working, that this should become policy, maybe, if I try to connect those dots together.
Yeah, we're really seeing some success, particularly in breastfeeding, having peer-to-peer counselors, to have a nurse come in and talk to you who doesn't look like you or knows exactly kind of where you come from or your environment. It really helps to have someone that is unique to your situation come in and help you with things related to hypertension management or breastfeeding. So our peer-to-peer counselors do a whole lot of work for us with that. So that's helpful.
I know I felt like I lived there. My wife she had twins the last, round, and we had to go to maternal fetal medicine. I think she was high risk. We had some complications and some upsets in the past, but I think we were there like every week for ultrasounds. And then I think we lived every fifth day in the assessment center and trying to figure out and then when we got there, we had to do ICU, but ultimately everything worked out. And I've got, some 8-year-old boys that are just nonstop, that they're insane. But
well, that's great. That's what you wanted. That's right.
That's what we signed up for. It's
Congratulations for you. That's hard. That's really, really hard.
it was. But I will say, nobody talks about the food was fantastic down in the cafeteria. I don't know what it is, but I've made the joke that I've gone back. I think just and ate before. Even when I
Yeah.
moved.
Yeah. Pre-COVID, we had people show up in our cafeteria all the time, get a good cheeseburger. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Brick oven pizzas. That was it.
You heard the freshman 20. We've got the woman's 20. So if you come to work here,
Oh, so the freshman 20, the woman's 20. Now we've got the COVID 20, right?
Yeah. 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 They're all 20s.
I know I could lose a little bit here. So tell me, what at the end of the day, it sounds like this council and your day-to-day job are almost one and the same. They seem very close. Is there anything from the chief nursing officer and the council that kind of you're wanting to get accomplished? Like this is here's the goals of where we are, or
I really want to bring to the table disparity work. Because I think it matters really by region, because we all have different disparity state to state, region to region. So I really want to bring forth some of that work and knowledge, and learn too from my peers of what's working in other areas, what's not, what could we do better in our state as a whole. That would be really important to me. We do work closely with our Office of Public Health and Louisiana Department of Health with quality improvement projects and those types of things to help improve care. So it would be great if I'd learned something that could help us and bring that back to our state, and then also inform the council so we could better policy to drive improvement in outcomes.
I'm trying to picture how that actually works. There's so much policy, there's so much kind of procedure that people have to follow, but like improving care, that gives all the way down to, like you said, you've got almost 900 people that you're working with, but it's not like they all meet up and say, hey, we're going to try this week. It's got to be all the way down. It's got to be like a person, right, who's like, we did this in this situation and we had a positive outcome. It's like, okay, maybe we'll try that again, or is there?
So that's a good question. What we really like to look for is like evidence-based. So some evidence-based research that shows us, we go to literature every time we look at a process. Sometimes we're in the literature as best process. Sometimes somebody in Texas might be best evidence-based practice related to a process. And so we will search through the literature, find what's best supported to have the best outcomes, and then make measures to implement that process to better outcomes. So, and it may involve us looking at our own data, stratifying our data, making sure that what we implement has a real impact, and then cascading that down to our individual staff. So a lot of ways that happens is through training. We spend some time with our nurses, making sure that they have a robust training program, ongoing training, some kind of education really every single month or sooner than that if needed. So we can make sure that we can cascade any new process down throughout the entire organization.
It's funny you said training. I've got someone that works in our group that's been in medical forever, and I've always said training, and she says in service. And so I finally started saying in service, and then now you're back to training. So I get flip-flopped back.
Well, it's in service, but when I say that, people go, what?
That's what I did for the longest time. She'd be like, we're doing an in service on set. I'm like,
that's right.
I have no what training. And so now I've learned in service is training. I was expecting in service word. Now I got training. So, but no, that's got to be just a huge feat. It's turning of a ship, on some of those things. So I can't imagine having to find the time to research and put all that together, and then to get all the way down to that macro level of talking with individual staff and seeing what they need. I think that's something that we've always found, in the time that I've been at Women's, that it didn't feel like it was all just procedure driven. You know what I mean? Like, it felt that it was personal, it was unique, that was there, but knowing that there are procedures behind the scenes. And I guess maybe that's the balance, right? You've got to
Right.
have the procedure, but then also have the personal touch that goes along with it.
And it is a delicate balance. We want to have enough structure that we keep people safe, but be able to individualize it to meet everybody's individual needs. So it is a balance. But the nurses, they really do a great job with it.
I can imagine. That's a big team, and that's a lot of feedback to boil down. So I can't tell you how much I appreciate you doing it and not me. Or so.
Well, I'm happy you have big, healthy 8-year-old boys that are running amok. That's a good deal.
They are. So we've got them. We don't know what they keep trying to break each other. So I think that's the latest that they're doing these days. So look, I tell everybody, there's obviously more important things for you to do than talk to me, all day. But I do appreciate you taking some time out of the day to kind of fill me in, the listeners, watchers, wherever people are consuming this at. Turns out a lot of people are, but to really put a face behind, we all drive down Airline Highway and everybody can see Women's, and I'll say it with a lot of different things. People don't know what really happens on the inside, that they don't know what's going on. And now we've got you making a presence nationally, making this, affecting change, and we get a voice. And I think that's real important because things are different for us here, than they are in other places. So.
We are different than South Dakota, than Oregon, than California, than Maine or Vermont. I mean, we're different. Oklahoma.
It gets hot down here. They don't realize it. It's real hot.
It gets real hot. Come see us.
HVAC is very important for us down here. So
that's right.
Policy to make sure that is always working. So.
That's right.
Well, look, I appreciate the time today. I'd love to have you come back, talk about some more, after kind of how that first meeting goes, see if they load you up, So.
Yeah, that would be great. All right.
Awesome. Well, you have a great day. And again, thank you. And thank you for all you've done and what you're about to get started into.
Thanks, Brandon.
All right. Thank you.